Hey, I'm Ayuma Michelle, and I'm the founder and storytelling coach at LetS, which is a social enterprise that I started 4 years ago to change the world one woman's story at a time. Welcome to my virtual space called LetS with Ayuma. And today I have 3 special announcements, and then I'll get to the meat of this story. Number 1, thank you so much for your support, and thank you so much for 50 YouTube subscribers. I know for some of you guys, maybe you're used to seeing people with 1 million and others with in the hundreds and of thousands. But to be honest, when I started this channel, I literally did not even know whether even one person would follow. So to just have 50 subscribers, that is a lot. That is 50 human beings have actually decided to actually follow the kind of content that I put out there. That means an impact in 50 lives. So thank you so much for the amazing support you have been. Thank you so much for saying yes to the vision. Thank you so much for saying yes to the content. It really does mean a lot. And let's keep journeying together to power up our stories and ensure that we thrive with purpose, which is the main goal and the mission of this virtual space. So thank you so much. And may we keep growing together, you know. And the second announcement I wanted to make is, as you may have noticed, I haven't made the usual announcement or the usual intro I normally make on the channel. And this is because we have changed things up. So, you know, I began the channel with targeting millennials in general. And then, you know, the analytics told me that it's mainly women. And then I went deeper into the analytics of this subscribers, then showed me that it's mainly female millennials. But also I've been receiving lots of feedback from non-millennial women from all walks of life, 50-year-olds, 40-year-olds, you know, all manner of women who aren't necessarily millennials. And these women have actually shared with me that they do enjoy my content, and that they actually do enjoy the content, and they're actually following up. And actually the analytics are telling me that, you know, there are many people who watch this channel who are not subscribed, like many people who watch this channel, but they aren't yet subscribed to the channel. So I'd like to open up the space to progressive women all around the world, because that is the target, the main target that LetS serves all around the world. I have served more than 385 women in 5 continents over the last 4 years. And these are not just millennials, but women from all walks of life, you know. So I have that capacity, and my hope is that with this inclusion, we would even be able to do so much more. We would be able to grow even more in our purpose. So welcome. I am opening up this space. So now you will notice that the intro will no longer just be for millennials, but it will be for progressive women globally, right? So welcome again to, if you're not a non-millennial, you are welcome. As long as wherever you are from the world, this is your space, right? For us to grow together. And so, to the third announcement, you know, in the previous video, I had shared that I am going to do a special launch, and I'm going to share a special gift, you know, to help us repurpose this moment of interruption and to see it as a gift of interruption, so that we can truly figure out how to get out of this better. This is it. So this is actually, this video is actually the official launch of the Let's Stay Home with Ayuma series. It's a 6-part series where I'm going to offer you guys, you ladies, some clarity coaching sessions, which is a public donation by LetS. You know, I have collaborated, I've partnered with LetS, and you know, when I was just sitting down and I was wondering, you know, how can I offer my gifts and skills and experience and services to people who are at home right now. And you know, the thing with being home right now is that there's a lot of inner confrontations about, am I going to continue living my life the same way? Am I going to be doing the same things? Do I even know my purpose? This series actually aims to help you get out of this situation a better person and with clarity. And the reason why I say this is because clarity is one of my strengths. I'm a very strategic coach, but clarity and confidence is one of my two of my strengths, especially as a coach, because throughout all of the interview sessions that I've had with potential clients and with actual clients, there's actually a record increase in at LetS that actually more than people that I have served and I've talked to in just 1 hour. So they end up talking about, the problem they once had in past tense without even noticing. And then there's this beautiful thing that happens where, as a coach, I notice that there's a difference in the eyes. There's like a spark in the eyes of this coachee. And also there's like a spark even in the voice. You notice that there's just a difference. And when I ask these people to rate what that is, that difference between when they started and after we talked, and they always say confidence and clarity. And on average, I've noticed this as a 40% increase in confidence and clarity. So that is actually what I'm offering you through this campaign called Let's Stay Home with Ayuma Michelle, which I'm going to be doing for the next six weeks, which is counting this as the first week, right? So the reason why this started is because I've really been challenged to ensure that all of us get out of this better. And why not figure out questions like, how do I build my personal vision? How do I find my purpose? How do I discover my passions? How do I create or center on my core values? How do I create my own personal mission? This is not just for work. This is for your life. This is legacy. We are talking about legacy here, right? And so this is just the introduction, but I'm still going to tell you a personal story where how I realized in my own personal life that, moments of interruptions can actually point you towards purpose, can actually point you towards alignment. And so my story, it's story time. I'm going to share with you about a call to alignment. And the rest of the sessions are going to actually follow the same format. I'm going to share with you a story, a personal story, or even a riddle, or even an ancient myth, to just help you ladies understand about the power of storytelling, but also to ensure that those values and that knowledge truly get transferred to you ladies, right? So let's get started. There was a time in my life, that was years back, there was a time in my life when I had actually been in a season of unemployment. And the reason why this came to be is because there was a time I was still in uni, but then, I no longer had access to school fees. They fell short. So what did I do? I started looking for a job. I started looking for employment. But then the issue is I kept getting into these short stints all the time, like constantly. And it came to a point where I was like, why is it so hard for me to actually land a job? Is there something wrong with me? Or do degrees matter so much to a point where if you don't have one, you can't get one? And so what I did is that I continued searching. Sometimes, even though I did not have school fees, I still showed up in class because I wanted to be in empowering environments that allowed me to still dream, to still see myself as of value, that I still have something to offer. And so I still showed up in my classes, and I'm so grateful to my lecturers who, though they knew that obviously I hadn't paid my school fees, they still allowed me to sit in class, to just absorb the knowledge and do the best that I can, and also in my personal life, obviously I was mainly supporting myself with my savings, but it reached a point where my savings were really like super low. They were literally over. And it reached a point where I couldn't even afford to buy myself some daily necessities. But there's something interesting. Despite all that, there's one thing, and notice that one thing I consistently did throughout that whole time. Even though I didn't have the cash, even though I didn't have school fees, even though I was not getting a job, even though I kept getting those declines for job opportunities, there's one thing I consistently did for those 3 whole years without being paid, without being forced. It was completely voluntary. I used to show up as a volunteer mentor at a tertiary education organization and school called Seed of Hope. At that time, it was called Seed of Hope, and it was based in Nairobi at a place called Dagoretti Corner. And what I used to do every Friday was show up as a mentor and to listen to these children, these teens actually, who they had either dropped out of school for one reason or another. Maybe they came from a very low income home, or they maybe some of them dropped out of school maybe for financial reasons. Others maybe maybe some of them, maybe some girls got pregnant early. So it was a beautiful safe space where these kids were learning how to reimagine a better future for themselves. And for me, that's why I've really gotten to really appreciate the power of education, not school. There's a difference between school spaces and education. Education spaces, it goes beyond just a school system. It's a space where you're empowered to learn in all facets of life and holistically. So I used to show up and mentor a group of girls. For the first 2 years, I used to mentor a group of girls. And I mean, it was just a really empowering space. And then by the third year, what actually happened, the boys wanted in. The boys had their own mentor, but for some reasons, the boys wanted in. And when the boys actually joined our sessions, I realized it's because they really wanted in it because they wanted to share their emotions. They wanted to share their vulnerabilities. They wanted to share their stories. And also how I used to mentor these kids is that I didn't used to just be over there telling them what to do. But I used to sit down and I used to challenge them to tell me what their challenges are, to tell me what their dreams are. So that now I can go and look into my networks and I can be like, who do I know who can come and speak life to their dreams, right? So I realized these kids are actually the ones who trained me on how to be a coach. There's no better way to learn how to be a coach than to actually learn how to listen to people, right? And to allow them to dream and do amazing things with their lives. So that's what I did. And I did this for 3 whole years but every one thing these kids didn't know is that every day I used to go home and I used to, I used to struggle actually waking up to show up and serve them not because I didn't want to serve, but because I was struggling with my own internal conflicts. I was like, how can I serve these kids? How can I mentor them? How can I tell them that there's a better life out there when I was actually going through depression at that time. And also I was wondering, my goodness, how can I tell them? How can I feel confident enough to serve them? And here I am, I've been trying to look for a job for 3 whole years and I'm not getting any job. But all this changed one day when there was a special visitor who was visiting the center, and this particular visitor was apparently a really big person. And when obviously this guest of honor was coming and walking around, this particular center to see how the organization can support, the center, obviously because at that time I was mentoring the kids, I'd done a lot of prep time with them. And, those of you who've worked a lot with children and a lot with people and capacity building, sometimes your energy really gets used up. So what I did is that I went and sat under a tent, to just get back my energy. And to my surprise, suddenly I was seated under a tent, on some plastic chairs. And when I was just thinking deeply about my life and how will my life ever change? I went back into that space, where I couldn't show people what the internal conflict I was going through. I was really looking for alignment and I had so many questions, but no answers yet, right? So to my surprise, I just had a man, ask me a question. What are you doing here? And the voice of the person sounded really familiar. So I turned around and to my surprise, it was actually, Bob Collymore, the late CEO of Safaricom. And he asked me the question again, what are you doing here? So, and he grabbed a chair and he sat down. He was with another executive at Safaricom. And, for those of you who don't know Safaricom, it's East Africa's most successful company. And it's the one that gave birth to M-Pesa, which is like a big social innovation from Kenya, which I'm so proud of because I'm Kenyan. So I just stand around and I'm like, wow. So where this guy, when he came into this compound, he was full of an entourage, security all over the place. Then I'm like, and here he is just randomly sitting down next to me and asking me still the question, what are you doing here? Number one, ask yourself that question. And I just told him that, but the reason why he asked me that, he explained that, you're young, it's a Friday afternoon, and even I know in my organization right now, the young people in my organization, I know they're getting ready, to get out of work and to go, party and stuff like that because it's Friday, So he was like, it's very unusual for somebody like you to be here on a Friday afternoon. And so I said, yes, I'm actually here because, it really does mean a lot to me. I love encouraging and I love giving of my time, and I've been serving these kids for the last 3 years. And it's because I do need encouragement myself in my life that I actually show up to encourage, out of my best to these kids. And I just want them not to give up on themselves. And, by showing up and serving them every Friday, in some way, it gives me a little light, and it even feels, really, really emotional just sharing that, because that's actually where I was, you guys. That's actually where I was. And it's like I didn't have anything to tell this guy like, oh, I have a whole, university degree, or I have certain KPIs at work and I work for these big organizations. All I had was my story, and all I had was my actual reality and how I was showing up for these kids. And I just realized that when he heard me, he said, you are doing the right thing. And it's so sad to say that. Not sad, it's really emotional, because this guy passed on. He was an amazing CEO, very, very iconic, and he was great at what he did. And just to think of, oh my goodness, I was so blessed to be in the same space with this man, to be in the same space with this giant, and have him affirm my journey. It did not look like much was happening in my life, but he actually affirmed my journey, that you are doing the right thing. And you know what? I came to actually learn that that was his purpose. His personal purpose as Bob Collymore, it was helping people to do the right thing. And he helped me do the same. And this is how. He made it so difficult for me to keep living my life the same way. He told me his story, and he told me that he could hardly remember partying or going for any parties when he was in uni, because he had to make that sacrifice then, so that now, as then obviously the CEO of Safaricom, he could now go to the jazz festivals and do the fun stuff. And I'm sure those of you who got to at least experience and encounter him, he was having so much fun doing the kind of work that he was doing. And so that's why he said, you are doing the right thing. You are making the sacrifice now in obedience to your purpose, so that in future you can do the fun stuff. And he said, obviously, he ended up talking to me, found out that, I'd been trying to look for a job for 3 years. And yes, I got a call from Safaricom later on. But this is the thing. It became really, really impossible to just opt for a job when I already had received affirmation that I was doing the right thing, that my purpose, the thing, the sign that I was doing the right thing was showing up every Friday, whether I was getting paid or not, whether I had money or not. I still used to show up and encourage those kids and encourage those teenagers as a coach and as their mentor, because I'd worked with them for a while. So I had the option to choose, pursue this calling of encouraging people and capacity building and helping them build something beautiful, rebuild something beautiful out of their lives, or get a job, I had those two choices. And obviously, when I had that conversation with him, I finally got what he meant by telling his story and what he meant by asking me those questions. It was not about all of those 3 years I'd been looking for a job. But turns out, he challenged me to look at it differently, that all along, I had been discovering my purpose. I had been looking to pursue it. And so it's the same thing that I'd like to challenge you ladies with. During this moment of interruption, people are at home. Work has been interrupted. Lifestyles have been interrupted. And even our mindsets have been interrupted. During this time, it's when we are called to alignment. Are you going to keep living your life the same way? Are you going to keep being in the same relationships? Are you going to work at the same jobs? Are you going to pursue a job, or are you going to pursue your calling or your purpose? And it's the same challenge I have for you ladies. So just know that the reason why I'm launching this is to help you, just like me years back. The reason why I've been able to build LetS for 4 years is because I never gave up on that purpose. And I keep discovering it day after day after day. And I discovered later on that my purpose was building beautiful things, out of ashes. It's repurposing things for good. And it literally is linked with my name. My name, Ayuma, actually means the beautifier or beaded, which in African cultures, beads were like super, they were like super jewels, So if you're beaded, it's like something of pure beauty, And so it's the same thing that I'm offering you ladies through this series. What's going to happen is actually that through this series, every single week I'm going to cover a topic. I'm going to cover the topic of vision, discovering your vision, your purpose, your passions, your core values, and also your mission. And remember, this is not just for a job. This is for your legacy. I'm talking about your legacy. So that when you get out of this, you're not just going to be pursuing a job. You're not just going to be pursuing a career. No, you're going to be pursuing your legacy. Because we are women, we are talking about thriving with your purpose. This is about legacy. It's not just about a job, right? So what's going to happen is that I am going to premiere a video just like this one every single week on Sunday at 5 p.m. East African time. And when I premiere this video, it's not going to be a live video, but guess what? It's going to have a live chat, and I'm going to actually be available on the live chat, throughout the premiere, so that if you have any questions, I can answer them, And also, if you look below, you can find out more about what I do on letsfindyourstory.com. You can just look below in my description box and find out more about what I do. If you'd like me to partner with you as your coach, fine, we can do it. But also you can actually send me your questions on letsfindyourstory@gmail.com. Right below, there's an email below. You can ask me some of these questions so that we can figure these things out together, right? So yes, I'm going to be live on the chat box, which is normally like right next to just below the actual video. I'm going to be live on the chat box so that we can ask those questions. I can answer them directly. It's sort of like, look at it as a Q&A facility, and it's going to be available. So remember, 5 p.m. East African time on Sundays. And the reason why Sundays is because that's when we are relaxed. That's when we're really thinking a lot about how am I going to do something different about the next week, right? So these are the things that I'd like you to do, right? Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to LetS with Ayuma below. Subscribe below so that you can get updates on, the next videos and the next videos, so that you don't have to go searching too far for the YouTube video, right? Also, comment below with what resonates about this video, this particular video that I've shared. What's already coming to your mind about this? And let's start the conversation early. And then also like this video, so that many more people, there's something about the algorithms about when you like the video and when you comment, the more you actually participate in it, the more people, even within your own networks, can get to know about it. Like if you have friends and family members who are maybe in the same space where they are rethinking their lives and they are rethinking their purpose, they are rethinking career, and they are rethinking so many things, and they want to delve deep into this call to alignment, then please go ahead, please like, comment, and subscribe, and also share with a friend. Share with a friend who needs to hear this. Share with a friend who also feels like they're in a season or a call to alignment, or just maybe share it on your social media. You never know who's watching, right? So that's all for today. I really look forward to learning and journeying with you ladies. Even much as I'll be sharing this information and these strategies and information and case studies and stories with you ladies, just know that first of all, it's a donation by LetS. And also just know that it's all for you. It's all for you. Give yourself permission to rethink your life. Give yourself permission to press that restart button, that beyond this pandemic, you are going to live your best life and it's waiting for you, right? Because your best is on its way. So leverage this moment of interruption as a time to prepare. And I'm going to be walking and journeying with you, empowering you with the strategies, with the reflection activities, so many fun things to help you rediscover and fall in love with your life. Fall in love with you because you are worth it, right? So don't forget, like, comment, and subscribe. This is LetS with Ayuma, an online safe space that I started to empower progressive women just like us from all around the world to thrive with purpose. I'll see you in the next video. Let's grow together on this amazing campaign that is Let's Stay Home with Ayuma Michelle. Follow that hashtag on social media. Bye-bye.